Helin Sari Ertem, an Associate Professor of International Relations at Istanbul Medeniyet University. She joins us now from Istanbul. Professor, thank you so much for your time. Utter cruelty, the US ambassador to the United Nations called it. The Russians may say it's something else, but the human impact is going to be immense.
Well, I guess once again we are witnessing that the humanitarian needs, especially these urgent needs of the people of the region, are being sacrificed by the political aims of great powers, Russia, Western states. The issue is about humanitarian aid, and unfortunately, just for the sake of their political purposes, once again, they are using these humanitarian needs of the people, unfortunately.
What political purposes? What's the political purpose?
Well, the main political purpose of Russia since the very beginning, and supported by the Syrian regime as well, is the so-called sovereignty of Syria. So they have been successful about keeping Assad regime in power. Yes, Assad is not gone, but the next step is to somehow consolidate the sovereignty of the Syrian regime, the territorial integrity of Syria. And as we all know, this northwest Syria is being controlled mainly by the opposition groups. And the main reason of Russia with this veto is to actually weaken the opposition groups in this region, to also decrease the influence of Western states, Western powers on this region. And with this situation, they are trying to control at least the sovereignty of Syria and put them under the total control of the Syrian regime.
So there are two border crossings that are open. They were opened after the February earthquakes that hit southeastern Turkey and northwestern Syria. Those will close in August. I mean, if we're going to be absolutely brutal here, is basically the aim of the regime in Damascus to starve the people of northwestern Syria to death, because that's the last place that he doesn't control. He's regained control of the rest of his country. The war is, what, 11, 12 years old now? And the northwest he doesn't control.
Well, that's the political situation. That's the result that he has in his hands. I mean, the Assad regime. But unfortunately, we have been witnessing this kind of attitudes in Africa, for example, for a long time. In Africa, international aid is often being used by political groups, rebel groups, and they are somehow either rewarding or punishing the civilians with the international aid. So the follow-up of the international aid, the routes that the international aid is being ended up is very significant for the international community. So the aid certainly should be followed, and the result, the outcomes, concrete outcomes should be checked by the international community, which is mainly the United Nations. Unfortunately, the political groups, the states, the rebels, militias, they are all able to use international aid for political purposes, to punish or reward the people, to receive the support of people in this kind of conflict zones.
Professor Helin Sari Ertem, thank you so much, Professor, for your time.